This page is a cover of Famimaga 64. It highlights Wave Race 64 with high-performance techniques, Wonder Project J2, Mission, Impossible, Blade and Barrel, J-League Live 64, and Mahjong Master featuring Doraemon. The cover also teases extensive coverage of Mario Kart 64. Featured sports games include J-League Perfect Striker and Gran Sumo 64. Additionally, it mentions Marvelous, Another Treasure Island, Super Donkey Kong 3, Dragon Quest II, Momotaro Dentetsu Happy, and Mini 4WD Shining Scorpion. The magazine is priced at 590 yen. The next page is an advertisement for Atsuya Furuta's Simulation Pro Baseball 2 for the Super Famicom. The visuals showcase a horse racing theme, featuring images of Churchill Downs, horse races, and a trophy. The game has a suggested retail price of 8,000 yen. The advert shows the Hector logo, indicating the game's publisher. This page is an advertisement for Thoroughbred Breeder 2 Eyes, a horse racing simulation game by Hector for the Super Famicom. It highlights newly established major races in Japan, North America, and Europe, with over 500 overseas races featured. The game was released on October 18th, with a suggested retail price of 8,200 yen, excluding tax. The next page is the table of contents for the magazine. It highlights several featured games and articles. Marvelous, Another Treasure Island, SFC, featured on page 55, Super Donkey Kong 3, SFC. A preview on page 62, Dragon Quest II, Super Famicom, found on page 69, Shining Scorpion, SFC, covered on page 72, Momotaro Dentetsu Happy, SFC, covered on page 74, 64, Uzumu, N64. A sumo wrestling game on page 15, J-League Perfect Striker, N64. A soccer game featured on page 20, Eiku no St. Andrews, N64. A golf game featured on page 24. The magazine also includes articles on Famimaga 64 Ranking Box, page 47, Reader-Submitted Content, page 86, Wave Race 64 Techniques, page 112, Ultra Techniques, page 116, RGB Maniac, page 124, and New Lock-On and Homing Techniques, page 127. Also listed are New Game Calendar, page 132. The index on the right lists games covered in the magazine with their page numbers, including Wave Race 64, Chameleon Twist, Pilot Wing 64, Super Mario 64, Mission, Impossible, Dragon Quest II Eyes, and more. There are also mentions of Super Famicom titles, like Earthlight Lunastrike, Thoroughbred Breeder 2i, and Super Donkey Kong 3. This page features a variety of games and articles. Mario Kart 64, then 64. It's being hyped with max 76-point screenshots and the debut of Luigi. Wonder Project J2, N64, featuring a guide to Blue Land Island by Josette. Blade and Barrel, N64, offers tips and strategies, teaching combat. Mission, Impossible, N64, discusses the game's promotion video and its code name, Mission 1. N64 Maker Report. N64, featuring Konami, Epoch, and EA Victor. USA Hotline, discussing buying an N64 in America for $199.95. Tower Dream, SFC. The game offers a feeling of exhilaration and excitement. Picross 2, GB. The second installment with maps that are 4 times larger. GB. The third title in the series. SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2, GB. A super deformed fighting game. Puzzler Rintaru, GB. A puzzle-solving game. Sports Collection, GB. 5 games in 1. Thoroughbred Breeder 2, SFC. Focused on teaching players how to successfully start and manage their own stable. The page also lists staff credits, including writers, editors, designers, and contributors to the magazine. The next page is an advertisement for Mario Kart 64, highlighting its 96 megabyte capacity and promises of high-speed racing action. It features screenshots of gameplay and a prominent image of Mario in his kart, with boasts about the game's enhanced power and the excitement it brings to players. The text emphasizes the return of the popular Mario Kart series and showcases 76 screenshots, offering an in-depth look at the N64 game. This page features key art for the Nintendo 64 game Mario Kart 64, with characters like Donkey Kong, Wario, and Princess Peach in their karts. It highlights the game's release date in December and a price of 9,800 yen. The ad notes the game's 96 meters capacity and support for up to 4 players. The next page presents an overview of the playable characters in Mario Kart 64. The game features 8 racers with familiar faces, including Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Wario, and Bowser. The page notes that the player character becomes the racer, while the others are rivals. It mentions that Wario and Donkey Kong Jr. replace the Koopa Troopa and Donkey Kong from the SFC version. The page also includes brief descriptions of each character, focusing on their roles and relationships within the Mario universe. It also asks which of the racers will be the fastest, and what special driving characteristics Wario will have in his first appearance. The page also discusses how they were rated in the previous game, and how the characters might be classified differently in this edition. There is also a small section on Luigi, who had few appearances, and it talks about the debut of the character, and that fans should support the character. This page is about Mario Kart 64 on the N64. It highlights the game's key features, including 4-player simultaneous play, VS mode, and Grand Prix mode for up to 4 players. VS mode is described as the most popular mode from the previous game, enhanced for this edition. Grand Prix mode allows players to compete against rivals, but the 2-player limit from the previous game remains. The page also covers time attack mode, allowing players to compete against their own ghost data. Spin turns and backward driving are discussed, with tips on how to execute them. Finally, there is a small section on customizing controller settings with a controller pack to save ghost data and share it with friends. The next page delves deeper into Mario Kart 64, focusing on how to use items effectively to secure victory. It highlights the new items in the game, like the homing red shells, which are stronger, and the 5 bananas, which can be dragged behind the cart to take out other racers. It discusses the importance of item boxes and the power-ups they contain, such as the triple red and green shells, and the 5 bananas. These new items can drastically change the course of the race. The page also mentions fake item boxes that can be used to trick opponents. When driven into, they cause an explosion. This page is all about Mario Kart 64, highlighting the various elements of the game that sets it apart. It emphasizes that the courses aren't just flat, but feature hills, valleys, and even stairs. The page mentions using the banks for cornering and dealing with the varying elevation changes that can obscure the course ahead. Also, it mentions the off-road sections. It introduces the new track features, like deserts and stairs. It also features course-side billboards featuring Mario characters. The text humorously points out that Mario seems to run a tobacco company, Luigi, a gasoline company, and Yoshi, an oil company. Lastly, it notes that the player has to learn to navigate the stage, and that you should not drive the karts on stairs. The next page focuses on the 9 courses of Mario Kart 64. It explains the courses and how the game has evolved. This section covers the Luigi circuit, described as beginner-friendly with 3 straight lines. It notes that mastering the 3D stick is key. Also mentioned is Moo Moo Farm, with its slippery dirt courses and wandering cows, with the return of the troublesome mole from the earlier games. The text also includes the Noko Noko Beach, which has waves that can impact your tires, and courses that split. Finally, there is the Kara Kara Desert, where speeding trains cross the tracks, potentially leading to shortcuts, if you dare to risk it. Also, it explains that shortcuts exist. This page delves into the 9 courses of Mario Kart 64, detailing their unique features and challenges. First up is the Haunted House course, filled with ghosts and ghouls, with a spooky haunted house theme. Falling off the track lands you in a dark pit, but Lakitu is there to fish you out. Lakitu helps with start signals and lap counts. Next is Choco Mountain, a wild course with extreme ups and downs, challenging to navigate. Bumping into other racers can be dangerous, so watch out for falling rocks. The page also covers the Bowser's Castle course, highlighting the slippery stone floors and the thwomp traps that can flatten you. Also watch for Bowser's portrait. The page also shows a section on Donkey Kong Jungle Park, which is a dirt course with a large river. It has unique jump setups. It also shows the Koopa Troopa Beach, with a giant jump off the outside of the wheel. Finally, it mentions the course of Mushroom Bridge, where buses pass each other. It shows Mario in 5th place racing on this course. The next page features a theme of time travel through Japanese postage stamps centered around songs and music. It displays a timeline from 1956 to 1996, showcasing stamps released in those years that commemorate various Japanese songs and musical works. Each stamp is accompanied by a brief description of the song or musical piece it represents. The stamps represent songs such as Koinobori, Hinamatsuri, Urashima Taro, Kojo no Tsuki, The Moon Over the Ruined Castle, Nanatsu no Ko, Seven Children, and Akatombo, Red Dragonfly. The stamp released in 1994 features the composer Miyagi Michio, who wrote Haru no Umi, The Sea in Spring. The page includes a section on collecting stamps, explaining the different types of Japanese postage stamps, standard stamps, commemorative stamps, and local stamps. This page highlights upcoming sports games for the Nintendo 64. First is a preview of Bottom Up's 64 Grand Sumo, tentative title. The article is on page 16. Next up is a deep dive into the system of Konami's Jikyu J-League Perfect Striker on page 20. Finally, there's coverage of a play mode in Sita's Tee-Off World Golf Club, focusing on the famous St. Andrews Golf Course. Find the article on page 24. The page notes that sports games are arriving on the Nintendo 64, and this preview highlights 3 notable upcoming titles. The reader is encouraged to check the specified pages for more information on each game. The page showcases 64 Grand Sumo, tentative title, for the Nintendo 64, promising a fresh take on sumo wrestling in 3D. It emphasizes the game's stylized characters and dynamic moves, highlighting the ability to perform impressive techniques not commonly seen in real sumo. The game is being developed by Bottom Up. The article mentions that it's a fighting game at its core with a character development aspect. Here, you can see a polygon model of a sumo wrestler and a shot of a ring. The release date and price are yet to be determined. This page showcases 64 Grand Sumo, tentative title, for the Nintendo 64, developed by Bottom Up. The game features comical characters with detailed movements that are pretty close to real sumo wrestling moves. The developers emphasize the effort in creating realistic-looking sumo wrestlers within a stylized, 3-headed character design. It's mentioned that recreating the intertwined movements during matches was especially difficult. The team included Masahide Takahashi, in charge of graphics, and Mugashi Ito, the team leader. The next page continues the feature on 64 Grand Sumo. It discusses how the game utilizes 2 interconnected systems: wrestler development and innovative controls. The wrestler's skills and special moves evolve based on the player's fighting style. Successfully executing moves leads to an increase in their success rate. The game uses a unique control scheme centered around left position, allowing for subtle and varied movements. The developers highlight the ability to perform a wide range of techniques using the DPAD and 3D stick. The page also features images showing various sumo techniques and character animations within the game. The developers wanted to allow the player to use reaction and feint moves. The sumo game features Masahide Takahashi in charge of graphics, and Mugashi Ito is the team leader. This page focuses on 64 Grand Sumo, highlighting the various game modes available. The game boasts 5 distinct modes. The first is the Grand Sumo mode, a single-player campaign where you start as a low-ranking wrestler and aim to become Yokozuna, Grand Champion, within 3 years. Succeeding unlocks legendary wrestler status. Next is the National Championship mode, another single-player mode, where you battle 8 wrestlers from across Japan. Winning unlocks the next stage, with the difficulty increasing as you progress. The Versus mode allows for 2-player battles, utilizing data from controller packs, so players can fight with their customized wrestlers. Team Battle mode pits 2 teams of 5 against each other in elimination matches. Winning requires defeating all 5 opponents. Finally, there is the Bonus mode, unlocked after completing Grand Sumo mode. Details are still under wraps, but it promises minigames. The page also highlights 8 stages based on famous locations in Japan. These range from Okinawa to Hokkaido, and the developers hint at adding more wrestlers and wrestling moves to the game. This page is an advertisement for Konami's J-League Perfect Striker on the Nintendo 64. The game promises a realistic soccer experience and boasts free control with a 3D stick and 1-button play. Players can execute various moves like heel lifts, dashes, fly balls, through passes, and 1-2 passes. It is scheduled for release on December 20th, with a price of 9,800 yen. The next page features Konami's J.League Perfect Striker on the Nintendo 64, highlighting the game's speedy and realistic soccer action. It boasts adaptable camera angles during matches, offering 3 height options and zoom capabilities. Players can enjoy replays of goals from various angles, and the game provides fluid, real-time commentary, with the ability to change the camera angle, replay the goal, rewatch it in 3D, and use the stick for different viewing angles. This page provides an overview of formation and strategy customization options in Konami's J.League Perfect Striker on the Nintendo 64. The game allows detailed formation settings, enabling players to adjust formations, positions, and tactics. There are 16 formations to choose from, catering to different playstyles such as offensive, defensive, or balanced approaches. The game also allows for position changes using a 3D screen, as well as adjusting individual player positions and roles with options for fine-tuning player settings. The page highlights the Man Mark feature, allowing players to assign specific opponents for their players to mark. It also shows that the player's condition is represented in 5 stages of expression. The page also presents strategy options like set play. With 8 kinds of strategy, the game features various attack and defense tactics, including all-out attack, side attack, offside trap. These tactics are explained with animations and messages, and can be selected and executed during the match to adapt to the flow of the game. The bottom half of the page illustrates different tactical approaches with accompanying diagrams, such as counterattack, side attack, central breakthrough, zone press, and offside trap. Each diagram is accompanied by a brief explanation of the tactic. This page is an introduction to J.League 16 Club's latest data in Konami's J.League Perfect Striker on the Nintendo 64. It highlights playing as a J.League club, with real player names and abilities reflected in the game. You can play against the CPU with 9 different types of battle mode, and there are several game modes to choose from. One mode is the tournament mode, where all 16 J.League clubs are divided into 2 blocks to fight for the championship, and in league mode, you can play all 30 games on the same match day as the 96 season. There is also PK mode, with different soccer game and goalkeeper action. The page also details the players match, where you can save data, play against each other, or play cooperatively. You can select tactics such as counterattack, side attack, central breakthrough, zone press, and offside trap. You can also use a D-stick to move the cursor to adjust shots. The page also shows screenshots of gameplay and game modes. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game St. Andrews Links, showcasing the recreation of the famous golf course, highlighting the shot system and character creation features. It emphasizes the challenge of the course and the ability to develop your own unique character. The game is slated for release on November 29th and priced at 9,800 yen. This page is an instructional guide for the Nintendo 64 game St. Andrews Links, providing tips on how to improve your golf game. The guide covers club selection, choosing the right club based on distance, direction adjustment, factoring in wind and terrain, ball striking position, adjusting the point of impact on the ball to influence trajectory, including backspin, swing power adjustment, using the 3D stick to control swing strength, shot timing, proper timing for nice and miss shots. The page emphasizes the importance of mastering the 3D stick controls to achieve optimal results, including adjusting direction, power, and ball spin. It also highlights that shot timing is key, noting that releasing the stick at the precise moment when the red circle is smallest will result in the best shot. The next page is about creating an original character in St. Andrews Links for the Nintendo 64. You can customize the player's appearance, body type, and even their handedness. There are 8 face types to choose from, and you can adjust height and handedness, but the character's physical ability remains the same regardless of body type. The guide highlights that the game allows players to create their own unique character by customizing their appearance, body type, and even their handedness. This means you can create a character that looks just like you or someone completely different. You can also choose the ball type and select 14 clubs to take with you on the course. The characteristics of the 3 ball types are explained. Characters have stats that are divided into 4 categories. These stats can be allocated from 50 bonus points that are freely distributed to tailor the original character. This allows you to influence the character's style. You can choose from 5 types of original characters, such as fade types and draw types. Playing with a high-quality ball gives the shot more power and accuracy. This page dives into the character growth aspects of St. Andrew's Links on 64. To win, you need a strong character. Playing a lot of rounds will increase your skills. You can only improve your character in stroke play and tournament modes. Practice hole and training modes don't count. Always aim for accurate shots. The game shows tips on how to do this. Handicaps can hinder growth. Aim to master the game without them. The page then shows you how growth in the game looks, with improvements in skills over time. It shows the character getting better at the game over time, with improved stats in various stats. You can play with up to 4 players, and can use your customized character in a tournament. It mentions that you can save to the controller pack, so you can bring your character to a friend's house and compete. The next page is an advert for Wonder Project J2 for the Nintendo 64, subtitled Corlo Forest's Josette. The page features a preview of the game's story and characters, focusing on the Siliconian Empire and their plans. Josette is sent to Blue Land Island by Dr. Geppetto, and encounters new characters like the Siliconian 13th and a cyborg named Masala. It delves into the Siliconian Empire's invasion of Blue Land Island, driven by the search for proton ore, a source of energy. The page teases the return of Masala, a former chancellor of the Corlo Kingdom who was defeated by Pino. It introduces the scientist Flauken, who rebuilt Masala, retaining his memories. The game is slated for release on November 22nd, at a price of 9,800 yen. This page features more details about Wonder Project J2 for the Nintendo 64, focusing on the Siliconian Empire and its characters, including Siliconian the 13th and the scientist Flauken, who rebuilds the cyborg Masala, focusing on his memories. We learn the Empire is invading Blue Land Island to look for proton ore as an energy source. The article mentions new improved polygon graphics for items, such as pudding and a cat, are discussed. It also introduces a new character named Arnold, who is described as a handsome young man who is knowledgeable about ships, but may have suspicious activities. This page offers a detailed tour of Blue Land Island from Wonder Project J2, guided by the character Josette. The tour begins at the Sukaraza movie theater, which screens movies for 100 Coliro apiece and has limited films. The next stop is Karen's Tavern, a gathering spot for fishermen, where you can meet Karen, who, despite her initial appearance, is very kind. Apparently the reviewer stumbled on Sapphire there once. After that, it visits the artificial island park, where the reviewer mentions struggling to connect with Pearl and her friends. The article mentions that Pearl will invite you to be one of her friends. The tour continues to Pier 1 and Pier 2, where the reviewer encounters familiar characters like Fisha and the fisherman, as well as a boy in a green shirt. The text discusses a pipe passage, noting that it connects to the mainland and is quite desolate. Also, the reviewer met a boy named Poco. The reviewer also states, "Looking at it this way, I feel like the dolphin is a wonderful home, even a submarine. Amazing!" This page continues the tour of Blue Land Island in Wonder Project J2, highlighting several key locations. First is the Artificial Island Hospital, which has a strange odor that the reviewer dislikes. Next is the entrance to the goddess Sedona Blue, a large statue that apparently only allows non-fishermen to enter, or else bocce strikes. The tour continues to a shady back alley that the reviewer finds unpleasant. After that is the garbage dump, where they encounter a cat that annoys Fra Isha. Finally, there's the Gante deep-sea ship repair yard, named after a grumpy character named Gante, and it is empty when you are there. The page also includes character interactions and comments, such as concerns about Sapphire running off, thoughts on a boy in a green shirt, and musings about the goddess Sedona statue. Finally, the magazine page contains information about Josette quizzes and private photos, promising challenging questions and exclusive looks at Josette in her pilot attire. The next page continues our exploration of Blue Land Island in Wonder Project J2. We start in the Blue Land Forest, where it's peaceful and the flowers are pretty, but sometimes scary voices can be heard. Next is the proton mining site, where it is important to carefully choose where to mine for proton ore. Then we're at the movie studio, where the reviewer wants to be in a movie and be directed by the director. Job registration at the Job Registration Center is also a point of interest. You can register different job roles from waitresses, ticket ripping, flyer distributor, fishing, engineering, and proton mining. After, we see the Town Hall Square, where they're doing a Fairy Nitsa flyer distribution. Finally, we get a look at the Air Force Base and the Air Force Coliseum. Various characters, such as Harbin and Halls, feature in the page, with comments about them, plus soldiers and the citizens of the town. This page features artwork submissions for the cover of Famimaga 64 number 12, where readers can vote for their favorite design. It says that Josette will decorate the Famima 64 cover once again, urging readers to choose their favorite illustration. It also details a special reader selection event. As a surprise, readers are asked to select one of 10 cover design candidates for Fama 64 number 12, scheduled for release on November 29th. Instructions are given with how to vote by postcard, including address, name, age, phone number, and the number of the chosen artwork. 64 winners will receive an original cover design telecard. The deadline for submissions is October 28th. The next page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Blade and Barrel, a 3D battle action title by Kemco. The advert highlights the game's intense 360-degree battle environments and 4-player simultaneous play, emphasizing survival as the key to victory. The game features aerial combat with helicopters and tanks, and is slated for release in December. The ad contains screenshots showing the game's 3D graphics and gameplay, and the game focuses on aerial dogfighting and vehicular combat. The next page details the gameplay mechanics and features of Blade and Barrel. The game allows players to pilot either a combat helicopter or a tank, each with unique characteristics. There are 4 types of both helicopters and tanks, with varying capabilities in speed, firepower, and handling, encouraging players to choose a vehicle that suits their playstyle. The game has varied terrain, including water, land, and underground areas. The page explains the controls, using the N64 controller with the analog stick used for movement, and the C buttons for elevation and horizontal movement, and the Z and R triggers used for weapons fire. The A and B buttons control the camera zoom, and the D-pad is used to control the vehicle if the analog stick isn't used. The page also shows screenshots and details about the 8 playable vehicles: Prowler, X-Blade, Grass Snake, Whiplash, Bullhead, Wasp, Midnight, and Firesight. Each vehicle has strengths and weaknesses in armor, speed, control, and weapon loadout. The next page shows various missions in Blade and Barrel, each requiring different tasks within the stages. The game offers a mission mode where players complete objectives in a stage-clear format. Currently, there are 5 stages, each with unique terrains. Missions involve eliminating all enemies and defeating a boss to clear the stage. The combat helicopter is more maneuverable, while the tank can rotate its turret to attack enemies from the sides and rear, giving it an advantage in certain situations. The core gameplay revolves around eliminating enemies. Players can destroy buildings and obstacles to clear their path. The page highlights the destruction of structures, such as skyscrapers, which crumble under concentrated fire. It also depicts underground cave systems and underwater city environments. The game includes power-ups. By defeating enemies and acquiring items, players can upgrade their weapons through 4 stages. Destroying certain structures reveals enemy spawn points, which players need to quickly eliminate. By destroying the last enemy in an area clears other objects. Additionally, the page shows items like shield recovery, which replenishes the shield meter, and bullet enhancement, which strengthens normal bullets. This page showcases the battle mode in Blade and Barrel, allowing up to 4 players to compete simultaneously. In this mode, players engage in heated battles using machines on stages. Players win by taking 3 rounds first, and lose if their machine is destroyed 3 times. Radar reliance is important, especially on stages with many obstacles. The enemy aircraft are shown with green numbers. The radar screen displays enemy positions, and during battles, it shows player locations. A key strategy is getting behind opponents for a significant advantage. There is a glimpse of development in progress, with the game undergoing changes to graphics and systems. The focus is on 4-player battles, aiming for a blend of strategic depth and exhilarating action. The importance of sound in the game is also being emphasized. The page highlights several battle tactics, such as feigning a direct attack to outmaneuver opponents, and exploiting item pickups like fixed gun emplacements to gain an edge. Another effective tactic involves appearing to retreat to bait opponents into a vulnerable position, and using the terrain to their advantage. The comment is made on how these tactics are best suited for those with excellent flight and evasion capabilities. The next page is an advertisement for Mission Impossible on the Nintendo 64. It promotes the game with the tagline, "The mission content of Mission 1 is revealed." The page features a promotional video and introduces the atmosphere of the game. The real-time adventure game is scheduled for release next spring. Motion capture is used to create realistic character movements. The game features full polygon graphics, a plot that includes the American embassy in Prague and intense spy action, including fights on a high-speed train. The page highlights the tension-filled graphics, unique spy gadgets, and weaponry. It also shows screenshots of the game, including scenes of gunfights, computer hacking, and characters using spy gadgets. This page is promoting Mission Impossible on the S64. The game is set to be a challenging experience with 10 difficult missions to undertake. The page highlights the first mission of searching for the NOC list. The mission begins in a setting similar to the film, and the player controls Ethan Hunt. His task is to recover the NOC list, which contains the identities of undercover CIA agents worldwide. The goal is to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. He must infiltrate the American embassy in Prague to secure the list. The page showcases different areas within the game, including the entrance hall, the reception room, and the ambassador's office. The entrance hall has a large area. The reception room is used for important meetings. The ambassador's office is where the ambassador works, and where he must infiltrate to find the information. The game is currently about 50% complete. The next page is an advertisement for a strategy guide, proclaiming Big Harvest! This guide boasts comprehensive indexing and significantly improved searchability. It includes the latest super techniques for all game consoles, including 30 Nintendo 64 titles. They are calling it an essential book for game players across Japan, and it's the greatly expanded 3rd edition. Its B5 size spans 928 pages and is priced at 980 yen, including tax. It is being published and sold by Tokuma Shoten. This page is an advertisement for Super Technique Encyclopedia, a strategy guide from Tokuma Intermedia MOOC. This book features 9,085 strategies and is the 96 Autumn edition. It covers game catalogs for Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, Virtual Boy, Game Boy, Famicom, 3DO, Neo Geo, Saturn, Mega Drive, Game Gear, PlayStation, PC FX, and PC Engine. The book contains 5,762 games and is priced at 980 yen. The next page is a preview of upcoming titles from 4 developers, Konami, Epoch, EA, and Victor. The writer comments on the current state of the Nintendo 64, saying, "There's a software drought that needs a kick in the pants." This page is about Konami's Mahjong Master for the N64. It's scheduled for release in December, with the price yet to be determined. The game requires 64 meters of memory and is compatible with the controller pack. The game features a faceless mode for faster gameplay. There are reactions from the characters, and the reviewer questions if they are too enthusiastic. The game has options to turn character faces on or off, and the game tempo can be adjusted. There's also the ability to rearrange the tiles, and while playing, you can talk to opponents to read their movements. Controls involve the 3D stick and a button for basic actions like drawing and discarding tiles, with the control stick used for icon selection. This page is about Konami's Mahjong Master for the N64, highlighting the story mode where you aim for the top spot in the strongest league. You start in the SEC League and work your way up through monthly tournaments. The game also features a free play mode with 19 characters and customizable rules, and a battle mode for online play. It shows different gameplay screens, including the main menu, in-game action, and character selection, with some of the characters featured are named Tenchi Tokugawa and Narumi Hatsu. It describes how to start from Character League, what the points are to climb the league tables, and the game options, with emphasis on speed. The game also features a quiz mode for beginners and online play. The next page introduces Doraemon, tentative title, for the N64 by Epoch, a game where Doraemon and his friends explore the fairy world. Doraemon and his friends each possess unique abilities to traverse the stages. Nobita excels at shooting, Shizuka has great jumping skills, and Tsuneo is incredibly fast. The game allows players to switch between characters depending on the situation. The game offers 2 modes, a single-player mode to clear stages, and a multiplayer mode. Up to 4 players can enjoy the game together, cooperating or competing. The game is still in development. The next page is a developer report focusing on the characters in Doraemon, tentative title, for the Nintendo 64. It showcases the improvements made to the character models, highlighting the polygonal shapes and textures. It discusses how the developers have refined Doraemon's design, making him less angular, with a rounder belly. They also address Nobita's glasses, making them less angular and improving his overall appearance. The page also highlights Tsuneyo's new look, focusing on his unique hairstyle and revealing the secrets of its polygonal construction. It also shows the game in action with Shizuka and a deer which cannot be attacked. A question is posed about what kind of fighter Giant will be. This page highlights J.League Live 64 for the Nintendo 64, advertising the game's features and modes. It emphasizes the excitement of players' heated battles and strategic gameplay. The game offers 4 playable modes: Full Season, Tournament, Exhibition, and PK, Penalty Kick mode. It allows up to 4 players with customizable difficulty settings. Screenshots showcase various aspects of the game, including formation selection, player stats, and in-game action. The game features real J.League teams and players, with attention to detail in their individual abilities and appearances. The reviewer comments that the game offers deep strategic gameplay with customizable formations and tactics. This page presents a reader's request ranking of the top 30 games, with Super Famicom Dragon Quest II holding the top spot despite a slight drop in points, followed by Mario Kart 64 and Wave Race 64. The article mentions Mario Kart 64 is gaining momentum, nearly catching Dragon Quest II in the rankings. This issue highlights the release date and price for Dragon Quest II. There's also a note about a reader's request survey, with the game rankings based on votes from questionnaires. The page includes a table listing games, their platforms, manufacturers, release dates, prices, and point scores. The next page features reader reviews of new games, specifically focusing on Super Famicom, SFC, and Game Boy, GB titles. The magazine highlights that while the selection of new games is small, it's making up for it in quality and fun factor. The games reviewed are Super Famicom Pro Wrestling 96, a wrestling game praised for its passion and entertainment factors. Super Chinese Land 1, 2, 3, a Game Boy title with a unique kung fu action that combines 3 previous games. Pebble Beach no Hado Nu, a golf game that's beginner-friendly. The reviews also include comments from readers about the games, as well as screenshots. The reviewers also comment on how harvesting is the most fun. This page features reader reviews for Super Power League 4 and Netto Samurai Spirits Zankuru Musuken. Super Power League 4. Reviewers liked the improved character graphics and animation, but found the single-player mode easy and the gameplay formulaic. Netto Samurai Spirits Zankuru Musuken. The updated graphics and accessible gameplay were praised. The page then highlights Energy Breaker and SimCity Junior for more in-depth reader feedback. Energy Breaker. Reviewers enjoyed the dialogue, balanced gameplay, and story. Some found the energy point system unique and the graphics appealing. SimCity Junior. Reviewers found the characters cute and the gameplay simple and addictive. They appreciated the inclusion of unique minigames. The magazine also encourages readers to submit their opinions and thoughts on the above-listed games. The next page presents the weekly top-selling game rankings for September 915 and September 1622. September 915, Super Mario 64 and 64 holds the top spot. GQ Power Pro Wrestling 96 SFC debuts at number 2. Kirby Superstar SFC and Kawa no Nushitsuri 2 Bargain Edition SFC share third place. Pocket Monster Pokemon comes in 7th. September 1622. Pocket Monsters Pokemon GB rises to first place. Wizardry Gaiden IV. Wizardry Side Story IV SFC debuts in 2nd. Super Mario 64 Den 64 drops to 3rd. The review notes that Pocket Monsters is gaining popularity. GQ Power Pro Wrestling 96 dropped to 15th spot. There is also a screenshot of Pocket Monsters featured. The next page presents the weekly top-selling game rankings for September 23-29 and September 30th of October 6. September 23-29. Wave Race 64 for the Nintendo 64 debuts in first place with a significant point difference. Pocket Monsters follows in 2nd and Parlor. Mini 3 is 3rd. Super Mario 64 drops to 4th. Other games listed include Kawa no Nushichuri 2 Bargain Edition, Moguranya, Kirby Superstar, Penaldipon, Isotsuri Ritohen, Wizardry Gaiden IV, Super Bomberman 4, Star Ocean, Super Donkey Kong 2, Super Momotaro Dentetsu DX, Daikaiju Monogatari 2, Yakuman, Super Mario, Yoshi's Island, Bomberman Collection, and Super Famista 5. September 30th of October 6. Wave Race 64 remains in first place. Pocket Monsters is second with Parlor, Mini 3 and third. Parlor, Mini is fourth, and Bokujo Monogatari, Story of Seasons, is fifth. Super Mario 64 and Isotsuri Ritohen are sixth. Kirby Superstar is eighth, followed by Super Bomberman 4. Super Puyo Puyo 2 Remix and Super Famista 5 are 10th. Further down the list are Kawa no Nushitsuri 2 Bargain Edition, Super Mario RPG, Puyo Puyo, Momotaro Collection, Bomberman Collection, Wizardry Gaiden IV, Moguranya, Neketsu Samurai Spirits, Zankuro Musoken, and Tetris. The commentary mentions Wave Race 64 maintaining its lead and Super Mario 64 declining in points. Parlor, Mini 3 is popular. Pocket Monsters is experiencing stock shortages. There are screenshots of Wave Race 64 and an arcade game, presumably Parlor, Mini 3. This page is from Famimaga 64 magazine, showcasing new information for readers. The featured topics include Taito's Media Box and a concert by Koichi Sugiyama of Dragon Quest fame. The MediaBox X55 is receiving a power-up. The MediaBox is a multimedia terminal that allows users to enjoy karaoke, television games, and information. It is priced at 39,800 yen. The MediaBox is similar in performance to the X55 and allows for internet connectivity through a NTT telephone line. Online shopping is also possible with planned email functionality in the future. The game World Medalist can be played on October 19th. This includes 100 meters dash and the long jump. There is an advert for a MediaBox promotional poster featuring Ami Namuro. There is also a calendar for Tokimeki Memorial, will be released on October 18th. This is a 1997 edition calendar, which features characters in the game. There are 12 calendar check stickers, and the calendar is a 2 size. 15 characters appear in the calendar. The next page features several attractions and events at Sega's Shinjuku Joyopolis, which is newly opening. The Joyopolis will feature indoor attractions and character goods. One attraction called Mission Q involves a laser gun survival game. There is a Dragon Quest concert event with music by Koichi Sugiyama. There are 2 concerts with music from Dragon Quest II and Dragon Quest VIX. There is a campaign commemorating the release of Winning Post 2 Program 96 for SFC. The Winning Cup event allows players to compete with their horses and win prizes. Finally, there's a screenshot from a horse racing game where you can create the strongest racehorse. You enter a password, and there is a character shown and a keyboard for data entry. This page showcases various CD, video, and book releases, including Soul Edge Arcade Version Original Soundtrack, featuring music from the game, priced at 2,500 yen. Zoku Hatsukoi Monogatari Shugaku Ryoku Song Collection. A song collection with 23 songs, priced at 3,000 yen. Ninku Ninku Tentori no Maki. The 10th video release of the Ninku series, priced at 4,800 yen. Ogre Grand Repeat. Rearranged symphonic suite of the SFC Game Tactics Ogre soundtrack, priced at 3,000 yen. Super Mario 64 Perfect Video. A video guide on how to master Super Mario 64, priced at 1,900 yen. Kohakuiro no Hitoki Angelique Fanbook 3. The third Angelique Fanbook, priced at 980 yen. The page also features Toy Story on video, being released on November 1st, and at a special price. 10 lucky people also have the chance to win a Toy Story memo pad. An event named Takada Akimi Patlabor Original Art Exhibition is being held from October 30th to November 4th. There is an advert for Takada Akimi Patlabor artwork, and details on how to send in a request for a gift from Famimaga Journal R. This page is an advert for the Super Famicom game, Treasure Island. The text highlights the game as a highly anticipated adventure title from Nintendo. The story revolves around 3 boys, Dion, Jack, and Max, who combine their strengths to solve the mysteries of the island and discover its treasures. It mentions the game's release date, October 26th, and the price of 6,800 yen. The page also mentions that even with the N64 on the market, the Super Famicom still has power, and features a preview of Donkey Kong Country 3. The next page features the Super Famicom game Treasure Island and provides an overview of the gameplay. The story follows three boys, Dion, Jack, and Max, who embark on an adventure to unravel the island's secrets. The player controls the characters by switching hats, with each character possessing unique abilities. Dion is fast and agile, Jack is skilled at creating tools, and Max is strong. The player can solve puzzles, find items, and battle enemies. There are also pirates that want the treasure, and you must stop them. The page also highlights the game's map, which shows the player's current location and points of interest. This page features Marvelous, another treasure island for the Super Famicom, highlighting the importance of encounters with various characters and animals within the game. These encounters provide information, items, and assistance to the player during critical moments. The first character is Gina Rockwell, the schoolteacher that is later kidnapped by Captain Bull. The second is Piraku, a bird that protects the island's secret, that has more knowledge than even the monkey named Winky. Then there is Winky himself, who has 3 keys, and Polly, a little girl who is energetic. The page also introduces Captain Bull's henchmen, the Patches, who constantly attempt to thwart the hero's progress. Finally, the page discusses the game's development as a cancelled Crydrom title, eventually reworked for the Super Famicom. The next page details the search system in Marvelous, Another Treasure Island for the Super Famicom. This involves checking suspicious spots to uncover hidden items and entrances. By clicking with the finger-shaped cursor, players can trigger events and advance the game. The player is prompted to investigate suspicious spots to possibly find something. The page also describes the various commands available, like check, teamwork, and item, streamlining the gameplay. The check command lets players gather information about objects. Teamwork is used to combine the strengths of the characters to overcome obstacles like large rocks. Lastly, the item command allows players to use specific items based on the character and situation. The player must experiment with different commands, paying attention to the messages that appear, and understanding the reactions to find the correct item. The next page of the magazine focuses on Marvelous, Another Treasure Island for the Super Famicom. It details how the 3 playable characters must work together to overcome obstacles and traps on the island. Each character has unique abilities and can use different items, requiring players to experiment and find the right combinations. A key aspect is teamwork, as players will need to position the characters strategically to solve puzzles and reach new areas. In situations where high places are unreachable, characters can perform a piggyback to reach otherwise inaccessible areas. There's also an emphasis on swimming being a characteristic of the characters, and using underwater goggles. The page mentions that the game takes inspiration from The Legend of Zelda and Shin Onigashima, and inherits the system. The game features scenario branches and in-game character changes. This page continues with more details about Marvelous, Another Treasure Island for the Super Famicom. The adventure begins with an encounter with a character named Winky, leading the protagonist to discover 3 keys of the island. It highlights the importance of collecting 6 pieces of firewood for the teacher, requiring teamwork. Tasks like fishing and carrying water may interfere with the firewood collection. The player has to collect 6 wood at the campsite. Be careful they are nearby. Also, you may need to play a game of PK shootout to score a goal and win. The page also explains how to use team tactics, such as helping those in need, and the teacher will review the result after the game. The page also mentions using feints. One puzzle involves catching a rat by covering the outer hole and having someone go inside to catch it. Also helping Winky involves moving large boxes to rescue Winky's friends on a ship. Another puzzle involves protecting a key from the bird character Pilak in a cave. The page also shows the characters will meet in various locations and the player will get to see different events. The player will also face a dangerous enemy on the island. The next page continues with Marvelous, Another Treasure Island for the Super Famicom, showing more gameplay elements. The page details how to obtain the mystery jewel after separating from Winky, finding it in a cave filled with traps that can be overcome using Jack's items. It emphasizes picking up dropped items in hard-to-reach places. The page covers the quest to obtain the mystery gem, and the player will go back to the camp so the teacher can take a look. The guide discusses how to use the remote control to manipulate a robot to clear troublesome boxes. It also gives a warning about going onward through the cave. The quest to save the teacher, who has been captured by Captain Blue, involves obtaining a jewel, which triggers events and leads the characters on a journey. The guide mentions that Captain Blue kidnapped the teacher, demanding the secret jewel in return. The characters must collect 3 jewels. On the way, they will encounter enemies. The text also mentions the game's characters. The guide notes you may need to apply force to push items. The guide also mentions some enemies will stop the player progressing, and to board the ship to sail onward. This page is an advertisement for Donkey Kong Country 3, Mystery of Krem's Island for the Super Famicom. The ad highlights the appealing Dixie Kong and gameplay. It mentions Donkey and Diddy Kong are missing, so you play as Dixie and the new character Kiddy Kong. And the game is set for release on November 23rd and will cost 6,800 yen. It mentions that Dixie's ponytail can still be used to throw items and fly, and emphasizes the enhanced graphics. The ad shows screenshots of gameplay, including cave exploration and the motorboat level, and also emphasizes the duo's journey begins from Funky Kong's house, where you will get instructions to find the missing Donkey Kong and Diddy. The next page covers the Team UP abilities in Donkey Kong Country 3, Mystery of Krem's Island for the Super Famicom, highlighting that new animal friends will join Dixie Kong and Kiddy Kong. The page shows that there are 3 game modes to play solo, co-op, and competitive. There is focus on character-specific Team UP moves, such as throwing your partner at enemies. It shows Dinky Kong rolling into enemies, and Dixie Kong either tossing Dinky a long way, or Dinky Kong tossing Dixie a short way to cover the ground. It reveals new animal friends for this game that will help the duo, like Ellie the Elephant and Perry the Parrot. These animal friends will have special barrels to use, which have their faces on them. Ellie the Elephant can grab and throw barrels and use her long nose. You can also fight giant bosses with Team UPS. There are enemies that attack from the background, requiring strategic use of Team UPS to overcome challenges. This page focuses on the Donkey Kong family's roles in helping players progress through Donkey Kong Country 3, Mystery of Krem's Island. The Kongs will save the game, offer rides, and provide helpful information. Funky Kong exchanges items for hovercrafts, allowing for boat and hovercraft travel instead of airplane travel. Linky Kong saves the game without needing coins, unlike in the previous game, and Swanky Kong hosts a target game where players can win prizes. The page also teases the secrets that can be uncovered on the island by talking to the various bear characters who populate it. These bears offer information, advice, and items that can be purchased with coins earned during the adventure. The goal is to rescue Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Screenshots show various bear characters and a scene inside one of their huts, along with a note that the text in the screenshot is in English in the overseas version, but will be in Japanese in the final release. The next page is the inaugural issue of Weekly TV Game Comprehensive Information magazine. It features several schoolgirls and promises to provide the latest game information. Dragon Quest II's release date is set for December 6th. This issue costs 290 yen. The page highlights several games: Capcom's Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, and Rockman 8, Mega Man 8. The 3 big Square games which have been revealed are Bushido Blade, Saga Frontier, and Final Fantasy Version 2. There's also coverage of Famimaga Legends and concise strategies for the King of Fighters 96, Langrisser 2, and Arc the Lad 2. The page also mentions Tujin Tushi 3, Raystorm, My Home Dream, and Dokusei 2. It promises plenty of data and reliable reviews. The bottom reads, Friday. It also boasts of giving away premium goods not sold anywhere else to 2,000 people. This page promotes the inaugural issue of Famimaga Weekly, launching October 18th, and released every Friday for 90 yen. The advert highlights new game releases under the banner, Now on Sale. It emphasizes thorough coverage of game information, aiming to be a complete catalog of game releases up to the previous Friday. Featured games include Star Gladiator, and the sports title Sports Game, with games like Electronic Arts Victor, and the baseball game Great Major League. Other titles mentioned are Cybertech Design's Mathwing 3D Space Battle, and Banpresto's game, featuring punky mercenaries. The magazine promises monitor-based game reviews with fair judgment, covering not only new and noteworthy titles, but also hidden gems. The goal is to provide helpful information for TV game fans, covering everything from PC to arcade games. It also highlights upcoming game releases. The next page advertises thorough coverage of game strategies and data, with the magazine boasting weekly, in-depth guides for various games including arcade titles. They highlight extensive research for accurate sales predictions, incorporating reader popularity and hardware-specific data. The advert emphasizes comprehensive coverage of new and noteworthy titles, providing scoop coverage including Famimaga weekly specials, also featuring character stats from games such as Bushido Blade. The page also mentions new titles like Princess Kura, a game about saving a princess with unique characters like Kura, Gray, and advertises other features such as console and arcade game coverage, fan goods, internet trends, and voice actor and anime girl character information. Final Gladiators. Episode 1 Final Crusade, a fighting game, is shown and advertised with a release date for the 25th of October. Additionally, Samurai Spirits Amakusa's Descent is advertised, and mentions a new Samurai Spirits title is coming. This page is an advertisement for the inaugural issue of Famimaga Weekly, promising a major scoop. The issue features stories on Shin Megami Tensei 2i, Gucho de Park, a theme park story, and Dukyusei 2 My Home Dream, possibly related to dating sims. Capcom's development of Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, is covered, along with Mega Man 8 and Super Puzzle Fighter 2X. There's also coverage of Terra Fantastica and DX Hired, Wonder Project J2 for Nintendo 64, and Momotaro Dentetsu Happy for the Super Famicom. Square gets special attention with Bushido Blade and Saga Frontier, plus a map of Final Fantasy Version 2. Readers have a chance to win premium goods. The second issue is previewed for October 25th, focusing on Virtua Fighter 3 with a complete strategy guide. Also highlighted are Super Robot Wars, Soul Edge, Ace Combat 2, and Cyber Troopers Virtualon. The magazine promises to cover leading game makers. The next page is an advertisement for Dragon Quest II for the Super Famicom. It highlights the personality determination and job change system in the game. It shows the game's title and scenes from the game, including a waterfall and an explosion, and the protagonist standing near the water. The release date is listed as December 6th, with a price of 8,700 yen. The ad also mentions the main character's personality affects gameplay, and how the player answers questions to determine the personality. This page continues the topic of personality determination in games, specifically in Dragon Quest II for Super Famicom. It explains how answering questions affects the protagonist's personality. The system starts with birthdate input, and then moves to a series of questions with yes or no answers. The questions change based on previous answers, and the number of questions varies. The final question is presented as an in-game event, where the player's actions determine the outcome and shape the character's personality. Two event scenarios are shown, one in a cave and one in a theater. The cave scenario involves following instructions to navigate, and the theater scenario involves interacting with characters and making choices about a marriage proposal. Screenshots show dialogue choices and in-game situations that test the player's moral compass. The next page highlights the job-changing system in Dragon Quest II for the Super Famicom. The page focuses on the Dharma Temple, where players can change their characters' jobs. It emphasizes that characters must reach level 20 before they can change classes, and incomplete job changes are not allowed. The article also explains that after changing jobs, characters revert to level 1, but retain half of their stats, making them stronger than a typical level 1 character. Additionally, spells learned from the previous job are retained. However, players can't immediately change jobs again until they reach the one-person status in their current job, needing to reach level 20 again. The page features before and after job change screenshots, illustrating how stats change. It suggests that certain personalities are more suited to specific jobs, with examples such as intelligent characters learning spells faster. One section explains that Kiramono-type characters, which are intelligent, can learn spells quickly. The page also shows examples of a character changing from a priest to a martial artist, and shows the new skills and stats for the job. This page is an advert for the Shining Scorpion Mini 4 WD model car, a tie-in to the game. The advert highlights that the release date has been pushed back to December 20th, with a price of 8,800 yen. The model features a unique design inspired by the game, with a pearl white body. The page includes various views of the Shining Scorpion, emphasizing its aerodynamic features and lightweight construction. Also advertised is the Super Famicom game that the model car is based on. The next page features the Super Famicom game Mini 4 WD Shining Scorpion Let's and Goes. The graphics have been upgraded to 32 meters from 24 meters, enhancing the visuals. The in-game dialogue during races has been expanded to include more commentary from the racer, adding excitement. The page is structured as a Q and a Quora with the game's producer, discussing the reasons for the delay of the release. It was explained that the capacity has been increased, mainly focusing on improving the race screen. The color scheme changes depending on the machine, adding visual flair. The names Scorpion are meant to evoke the feeling of the racing machine overtaking a rival from behind, so you can prick them. The producer mentions that there are a lot of parts that can be attached and changed, affecting the performance of the car. The article ends with a promise of a sequel, but the hardware for it is currently undecided. The bottom of the page showcases various cars like the Black Saber, Beak Spider, Brocken Gigant, Neo Tridagger ZMC, and Spin Cobra. The next page focuses on Momotaro Dentetsu Happy, highlighting new elements and enhancements. It showcases various aspects of the game, including monsters, silver thieves, and a newsroom. The game features updated graphics and attention to detail, with changes in character appearances and poses. It introduces new features like the ability to use classic Momotetsu songs as background music and a ferry connecting Tokyo and Shikoku. The article also touches upon gameplay elements such as aiming for political dominance and dealing with random events like the appearance of Mosura's eggs. It describes a scenario where players compete in a 40-year match, emphasizing the strategic aspects of buying properties and managing finances. The page includes screenshots and character dialogues, providing a glimpse into the game's content and humor. This page is about the game Momotaro Dentetsu Happy and introduces the 12 new cards added to the game. These new cards can change the way you play the game, and also introduces the new submarine card and the new idiot card, which were enhanced from the previous versions. The new cards are Poop Train card, Whimsical card, Quiz card, Fastball card, new Nap card, new Submarine card, new Idiot card, Morning 3 Evening 4 card, Unlucky card, Proceed card, Fundoshi card, and Boneless card. The page discusses the effects of using the new cards, along with strategies, and also offers some tips for players and trivia, such as what the Morning 3 Evening 4 card means. There are screenshots from the game on the page, including a submarine and other gameplay scenes. The next page focuses on Momotaro Dentetsu Happy and how to enjoy it even more, highlighting 7 different types of events that have been added to the game. Purchasing properties triggers events with a chance to earn temporary income, and the stage is set for a river drama. The game features trailers to view, with extra rewards that can be obtained. The page explains how to build your own company building in the center of Tokyo, and the benefits of building a new company building, and how the name of the building will be displayed on the map and signage. It also introduces the Three Arrows historical drama event, based on the Japanese warlord Mori Motonari. There are also details about the Bonhebius Star, and what happens if you arrive there without enough funds, with some comical scenes. The page highlights the Peach Boy Land property and the parade event that comes with it. It also discusses the heaven and hell aspect of the game, where the player can either gain or lose money and status. There are various tips and tricks for playing Momotaro Dentetsu Happy, including which buildings to buy and how to use the various cards effectively. The page also talks about the game's graphics and characters. This page is all about getting the most out of Momotaro Dentetsu Happy on the Super Famicom. First up, you can now decide what the specialty item of your Osaka aquarium will be, which influences revenue. Depending on your luck, you might even end up losing money. You choose a fish to attract customers, and the owner becomes you. But if you stop in Osaka, you can spin a roulette wheel. Next, warp stations have been upgraded to be more useful and convenient, costing all your money to use. Pick from 4 destinations for the warp, so even though you become penniless, you can pick which destination to go to. There are a few locations to choose from, and it is a better feature than the previous game's warp stations. There's also info on fare revisions that can affect card prices. All card prices are doubled in April. There is no warning of this. The page highlights the Olympic Games being held in Nagano. Be sure to buy properties here prior to the games to make a profit. All-Star Game with Momotaro Ichiro. If you have a professional baseball team in Kobe, you will be able to see this famous player, and it will add to the feeling of the game. Lastly, it shows a results screen from a 40-year game where the team president won by a landslide. This page is all about the horrors of the Bombera Star in Momotaro Dentetsu Happy. The Bomberos Star is a nightmare map of minus stations that King Bomber throws you into. In this version of the game, you can't use cards, and other players don't exist on the map, so you'll have to face its horrors alone. There are 27 stations, all of which are minus stations. If a player lands on any station there, it's always Bomberos stations. You'll be forced to sell off property if you linger there too long to pay off the debt. The page shows the whole Bomberos Star map, with butt-naked guys running around. To escape the Bomberos Star, there are 3 exits. You must find the correct exit to return to Earth. If you chose the wrong one, you will be sent back to the Bomberos starting point for another attempt. A dummy exit will take you back to the start. The next page is a recruitment advertisement for staff at Famitsu Weekly Magazine. It outlines the various positions they're looking to fill, detailing different requirements and conditions. Starting with a flowchart, it asks the potential employee if they enjoy desk work more than outdoor work, if they like TV games, and if they dislike irregular work hours. It then branches out to different job listings based on the answers. The roles available include advertising sales staff, full-time, publishing sales staff, full-time, editorial assistant, and advertising/publishing assistant, contract editor, full-time, contract writer, editorial assistant. Each role specifies the hours, qualifications, and salary. For example, the full-time positions generally require experience, while the assistant roles are open to those 18 and older. The ad also clarifies how to apply, including required documents and the deadline. This page is an introduction to horse racing games, specifically for beginners, and serves as an owner's course. The page encourages players to read this and win the race. The text aims to help those unfamiliar with horse racing games by providing essential techniques for creating strong horses. It also includes a full schedule of races in Japan. The game discussed is Thoroughbred Breeder 2i for the Super Famicom, with a planned release date of October 18th and a price of 8,200 yen. The article provides tips to get started, advising players to begin with a familiar breeding mare and 3-year-old horses. It emphasizes learning the game's flow and breeding horses effectively. It details investment strategies, like investing in 2-year-old horse training or hot springs. The importance of prize money is highlighted, suggesting players should race many horses to accumulate earnings. Additionally, it shows some of the horses in the game and their abilities in the game. There's also data on 3-year-old horses at the start, and a table showing their strength at different ages, 38 years, including stats like speed, stamina, and suitability for dirt tracks. The next page continues the horse racing theme, providing advice tailored to the horse's type. It stresses the importance of matching training methods to a horse's strengths, and understanding the effects of different training regimens. There's a breakdown of 7 training types, and their impact on a horse's condition, fatigue, and weight. Specific training methods like hanhaba, turf, single run, and wood chip are explained, detailing how they affect speed, stamina, and distance suitability. The table lists horse types, suitable distances, and ideal training methods. For example, a sprinter benefits from hill course and hanhaba, turf, paired run. Also included in the table is the appropriate distances for horses such as sprinter, miler, mid-distance, classic distance, and stayer. The page emphasizes the importance of communication with trainers to understand a horse's condition and fatigue levels. And advice is given on how to care for the horses and feed them. The page also shows a screenshot of the game with the trainer and his advice, and suggests listening to them. Finally, it has a section on evaluating a horse's potential, and a suggestion on creating a personal evaluation sheet to track factors like parentage, price, personality, and growth potential. The next page focuses on creating strong horses through strategic breeding in a horse racing simulation game. It emphasizes that a horse's potential is limited by its inherent abilities, making breeding a crucial element. High potential stallions and mares are key, and offspring often inherit traits from their parents. The page features several examples of successful breeding combinations, with details on the stallion and mare involved, their lineage, and associated costs. These include pairings like Narita Bryan x Old Magic, Sakura Laurel x First Lady, and Bubblegum Fellow x Pink Memory. Each horse's real-world racing accomplishments are mentioned. The page also explores special breeding techniques called nicks, which boost a horse's capabilities by combining horses with compatible ancestries and inbreeding. There is also advice on avoiding too much inbreeding because it can weaken horses. A table shows inbreeding combinations. Finally, it advises on how to select breeding partners, with a guide to recognizing potentially great pairings. It encourages the player to look for pairings with high potential. This page features information on horse racing and breeding strategies within a game, going deeper into the racing and breeding mechanics. It presents data related to various horse races, including prize money and conditions. There are details on specific races held at locations like Nakayama, Hanshin, Tokyo, Kyoto, and Kokura, along with the specific classes, race names, and prize money amounts. This seems to be a reference for selecting races and understanding the economics within the game. The page also continues the previous page by explaining the concept of nick and inbreeding, strategies for improving horse performance in this horse racing simulation game. There is also a table showing inbreeding combinations, with advice on avoiding too much inbreeding. The next page continues the horse racing theme, focusing on race conditions and breeding capabilities within the game. It lists August, July, and June races held at various locations such as Niigata, Kokura, Hakodate, Fukushima, Osaka/Hanshin, Sapporo, Tokyo, and Chukyo. It gives the names of the races and race prize money. The page also gives an overview of understanding the nick breeding capabilities for creating stronger horses. There is advice on entrusting horses to trainers with matching characteristics and warnings against excessive inbreeding. A small section provides questions and answers about horse breeding. There is also a short advert section. The next page is a continuation of the horse racing content, detailing race conditions and breeding within the game. Locations include Nakayama, Hanshin, Kyoto, Tokyo, Fukushima, Niigata, Kokura, and Hakodate. The page also contains information about understanding nick breeding to create stronger horses. This page features a reader survey from Famimaga 64, encouraging readers to share their opinions and preferences. The page lists prizes, 10 copies each of Marvel Superheroes, War of the Gems, Tower Dream, Marvelous, SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2, Picross 2, and Yoshi's Panapon. Readers are asked to fill out a questionnaire and mail it in with a 50 yen stamp by October 31st. The results will be published in the December 20th issue. The survey covers various topics including school or occupation, grade level, age and gender, magazines read, number of game purchases, preferred articles and features, gaming platforms owned and desired, favorite and least favorite articles from the current issue, desired future content and game features, opinions on the Nintendo 64, evaluation of a featured game, details on entering the survey. The page also provides instructions on how to properly fill out the survey form, emphasizing the importance of clear handwriting and using the correct writing implements. It concludes with a list of Famimaga 64 No.45 prize winners. This page presents a list of games that readers can win in a giveaway, organized by platform: Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and Virtual Boy. For the Nintendo 64, some of the games listed include a fast-paced action game, an unreleased Donkey Kong title, St. Andrews, 064, Kirby Air Ride, Chameleon Twist, Ganbare Goemon 5, a mystery title, Kwanpa, a golf title, J-League Live 64, a golf title, and a wrestling title. There is also a 3D shooting game, a soccer title, a baseball game, Dual Heroes, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Formula 1, Blast Corps, and Multi-Racing. For the Super Famicom, the games include My Goddess, Coolie Skunk, Thoroughbred Breeder 2i, God, Super Life Game 3, Super Donkey Kong 3, Dragon Quest 2i, Street Fighter 02, a dating sim, and Donald Duck's Maui Mallard. The Game Boy titles feature Chalvo 55, Pachio-kun Game Gallery, Crayon Shin-chan, Gege no Kitaro, Human Collection, Charizard Legend, Super Chinese Fighter GB, Super Black Bass Pocket, Snoopy, Namco Gallery Volume 2, Puzzle titles, Picross 2, Wonder Boy, A Monster Tale, Bomberman GB3, Mahjong Legend, a horse racing title, and a Mini 4WD title. Finally, for the Virtual Boy, The list includes New Japan Pro Wrestling, Fierce Fighting Legend, Starseed, Doraemon, Virtual Block, Bound High, and Proteus Zone. The page also features tables that refer to articles in this issue, a list of gaming magazines, and a list of consoles. This page is an advertisement for the Super Famicom board game, Tower Dream, from ASC2, scheduled for release on October 25th. The game involves building companies and structures to increase assets. The goal is to become the wealthiest player by rolling dice, moving around the map, and acquiring landmarks and buildings. The page showcases gameplay screenshots, including character selection, map navigation, and building construction. There are 3 game modes to challenge: free play, practice, and campaign. It highlights that the game supports up to 4 players. This page provides details on how to build, grow, and merge companies in Tower Dream. Players can construct landmarks on empty spaces and build companies next to existing landmarks to form connections. Developing buildings increases the company's value, and adjacent companies can merge, with the higher-level company absorbing the lower-level one. Players receive bonuses for building near landmarks and can charge line fees to opponents who land on their properties. Once a company reaches level 13, it becomes a Whooper company, a stable and powerful entity. The page shows various gameplay screens of buildings and different companies. Tower Dream features special event spaces beyond the standard game board. Start pays you, Lucky gives half the line fees until your next turn, and Pinch triggers card events with various outcomes: debt relief, large winnings, position protection, or rerolls. Warp moves you to a specific location, and Welcome gives half your salary. A slot machine awards bonuses for drum alignments, with increasing effects for left-to-right matches. Jackpot spaces award floors. Landing on bonus floor grants all floors, allowing building construction. This page introduces the assistance characters and rivals of Tower Dream, focusing on the taxi, which transports the player and stops at taxi squares where you can board. When riding, the die roll is doubled. It also introduces Chances-sama, who gives the player items when landing on their square. But you must pay line fees and cannot build landmarks or buildings the next turn. Notably, the Chances-sama moves opposite of the player on the map. This page lists the 9 CPU characters the player can fight in the game. The rival is selected randomly, but in campaign mode, the opponent is determined. The page details 9 characters: Marimo, Shoji, Yuka, Kenta, Uchu, Ishishi, Tamasabaru, Yuderu, and Hazumi, each with a power level and a short description, highlighting their strengths and quirks. The bottom includes some in-game screenshots, describing that the CPU characters are unique and talk a lot. Also on this page are the definitions of game end, landmark construction is finished, and game ends, where the calculations start. If one player goes bankrupt, the game ends on the spot. A final note is that a player must build a certain number of landmarks to end the game. The next page is an advertisement for Marvel Superheroes, War of the Gems for the Super Famicom, scheduled for release on October 18th by Capcom, priced at 7,800 yen. The game features 5 playable American heroes: Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Iron Man, and Hulk, battling to stop Thanos and his evil plot to collect the gems. The page explains that by equipping gems, the hero's abilities can be enhanced. Gems such as the Soul, Reality, Power, Space, and Time gems offer different boosts, like increasing attack power, jump height, and movement speed. Each character possesses unique abilities. For example, Spider-Man and Wolverine can cling to walls, while Iron Man can perform a double jump. It also shows Spider-Man using web attacks and Captain America using his shield. The page recommends Iron Man as a good character for beginners and notes the effects of each gem when equipped. This page offers a deeper look into Marvel Superheroes, War of the Gems. The magazine emphasizes the importance of collecting gems scattered across each stage, which allows the player to choose from 8 different stages. Selecting the right character to match the stage is key to success. Players need to watch out for traps. The game takes the player to locations such as Alaska, where the terrain is treacherous due to icy conditions. Captain America finds himself underwater in the Boston Aquarium, facing enemies. It's important to keep an eye on the air meter in this stage. The page also focuses on Dr. Doom's castle, filled with warp devices. Key characters are highlighted, with specific tips on using them. Wolverine is described as easier to use for consecutive attacks. Dr. Doom, who can't be defeated in this encounter, will reappear later. Finally, the page also features descriptions of special moves for the Hulk, Wolverine, and Iron Man. The next page is an advertisement for Picross 2 on the Game Boy. The page highlights features such as the increased puzzle size of 30 by 30 squares. The game introduces field maps with themes like forest and town, where Mario explores and solves puzzles. Wario also appears in the game as a new puzzle mode. The page shows the Quick Picross mode, which introduces a time trial aspect. There's also a Wario's Picross mode where hints are not available, making it more challenging. The puzzle must be completed within a certain time limit, with penalties for mistakes. Screenshots showcase the gameplay and graphics on the Game Boy. This page is an advertisement for Yoshi's Panapon on the Game Boy, which is a puzzle game where you swap panels to match 3 or more of the same type to make them disappear. The ad highlights the game's simple rules, where chains are easy to create. The page explains how to clear panels and create chains for high scores. It features tips on basic chain reactions and how to use falling panels effectively. The ad also showcases various game modes, including an endless mode and a score attack mode. In the versus computer mode, players can compete against different opponents, including the final boss, Bowser. The Yoshi vs. Jugem mode is also shown. The next page is an advertisement for Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2 on the Game Boy, also known as Flying Dragon Tales 2. It boasts 18 SD characters in a fighting game with special deformed graphics. Priced at 4,200 yen, the game supports 13 colors, is a fighting action title with 8 meters, and allows for 2-player simultaneous play via communication cable. The game features 2 modes, Story Mode and Versus Mode. Story Mode lets players choose one character from 18 and battle against all the others, while Versus Mode allows players to enjoy battles with friends using a communication cable. The ad emphasizes the importance of mastering special moves, which can be chained together. It also highlights the secret arts that can turn the tide of battle when a character's health is low, triggered by specific commands. The page introduces 3 new characters, Dava, Noel, and Hellbelt Helga, showcasing their special moves and characteristics. Dava can unleash a tornado that blows opponents away, Noel uses Muay Thai techniques, and Hellbelt Helga is a racer fighter who uses tricky tactics. The screenshots show examples of gameplay, including a health bar mechanic. Puzzle Ninpu Gakuen, a Game Boy puzzle game, tasks players with ninja arts offense and defense by rotating and separating falling panels. Published by Culture Brain, it releases November 1st for 3,980 yen. The 2 meters puzzle format supports simultaneous 2-player play via cable and features 13 colors and 7 panel types, e.g., Shuriken, Scrolls. 3 game modes, Training, Puzzle Competition, and Versus offer varying strategies. Puzzle Competition involves a story-driven competition, while Versus mode pits players against Hem to clear obstructions. New characters like Cafeteria Obachan and Kuromaku, the final boss, are included. The game retains elements from the Super Famicom version. The next page is an advertisement for the Game Boy title Sports Collection. This compilation features 5 games in one. A sports collection which includes Roadstar Racing, boxing, beach volleyball, dodgeball, and soccer. The page showcases in-game screenshots and descriptions of each game, and item lists like speed boosts. In boxing, it shows a character called Joe Ibuki and lists stats. Also included are game tips, such as rapidly pressing A or B to return the car if it goes off track in Roadstar, or getting close to your opponent for a powerful punch in the boxing game. The game has various modes for each of the sports. The page also states a few notes about each game. This game was sold for 3,980 yen by Tonkin House. The next page highlights Marvelous coming to Soundlink. It features details about the Satellite View Station program, airing from October 20th to November 2nd. The text suggests checking the magazine's P55 article on the Super Famicom version to prepare for the treasure hunting journey of the game. The page previews original stories in the era's Time Athletic and highlights the BS Marvelous sequel as part of a 4-part broadcast. It also mentions a mystery involving a girl in a swimsuit and challenges readers to find the answer. There are tips for solving puzzles, and the page teases the use of data broadcasting with different events happening at different times. Character profiles of Dion, Max, and Jack are shown, who all have unique traits and abilities, such as Dion's dashing skills, Max's surprising soccer talent, and Jack's versatility with jumping and fishing. The broadcast Ryoma the Wanderer is also previewed, stating that it is a 3-part series. It also states to receive the music and character data to play, and states the plot involves Sakamoto Ryoma and others. The bottom portion is a program guide from October 20th to October 26th and October 27th to November 2nd. It lists titles such as Diabista 96, RPG TW Cool 2, Super Momotaro Dentetsu 2, Septentrion, Super Fire Pro Wrestling, and BS SimCity, among others. The page also includes the magazine contact information and pricing. This page covers the North American 64 launch. It notes the US release date as September 29th and the price at $199.95, which converts to approximately 20,000 yen, about 5,000 yen cheaper than the Japanese console price. The text highlights the launch titles, including Super Mario 64 and Pilotwings 64. It mentions future releases scheduled for the year, totaling 12 titles, including Wave Race 64 in October and Cruisin' USA in November. The page also notes several titles slated for release before the end of the year, namely Turok and NHL Pro 97. Third-party titles include Mortal Kombat Trilogy, NBA Hangtime, and more. Additionally, the page highlights 2 fighting games as noteworthy. It doesn't say which games are being referred to. Screenshots of Pilotwings 64 and Super Mario 64 are featured, with comments that the characters in Pilotwings 64 have an American feel, and Super Mario 64 is already a popular title. Lastly, the page mentions that the release of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey may be delayed. The next page features Killer Instinct Gold for the N64, described as a port of Killer Instinct 2 from the arcade. It notes that the N64 version isn't just a simple port, but takes advantage of the console's capabilities to improve the graphics and gameplay. The review highlights the smooth character animations and numerous options. The text also mentions that the game has improved since the earlier showings at E3. The camera system now includes zoom and rotation features. The reviewer praises the virtual feel of the game world and expresses high expectations for the title as one of the first fighting games on the N64. It mentions a potential heated battle due to the N64's graphics. Release details for Japan are unconfirmed. The page then lists the game modes: arcade, team elimination, tournament, practice, and training. Screenshots showcasing various characters and stages are also present. This page covers Mortal Kombat Trilogy by Williams, announcing the introduction of Ultimate Godfist. It highlights the addition of brutality as a new finishing move, allowing players to reduce opponents to a marmalade state. The page mentions that all the Mortal Kombat series elements are compiled in this trilogy, which includes the characters that have appeared so far. There are also hidden characters included. New techniques are added, such as Raiden attacking enemies from behind, and Baraka's Whirlwind Blade attack. The reviewer comments that the extreme violent finishing moves may mean that the game could be difficult to release due to Japanese regulations. The page also includes a section on Turok by Acclaim, with the release delayed until next spring. The team is working hard on the graphics. The delay is to add more gameplay elements. The page includes screenshots of monster-like robots, which hint at the game's setting in the past and future. It notes that the game will be a real 3D adventure with enhanced graphics. The review mentions a recent game show where players could experience the game. The page also contains an advert for the game, and includes some other images of the games covered. The upcoming 64 games include Blast Corps, a giant robot combat game where players use various vehicles to stop a missile carrier. Roadrunner, a revival of the classic puzzle game, features 3D mazes and familiar elements, though the reviewer notes a potential difference in feel from the original. Finally, Dark Rift, developed by Kronos Digital Entertainment, showcased impressive 3D graphics created using Alias Wavefront tools at a September seminar. Release dates for Roadrunner and Blast Corps are noted as November and undetermined, respectively. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Tengai Makyu, Daion no Mokushiroku, Far East of Eden, The Apocalypse IV, for the Sega Saturn. The advertisement features key staff like director Hiroi Oji, writers P.H. Chada, and artist Kujiro Tsujino. It mentions the game is a Two Candelas Room RPG, released on January 14, 1997, and lists the price. The ad promotes the game's world, and includes URL for quick internet access and images of Imaraya, Tengai Manju, Sweets and Akiyama Foods, Tengai Make You Corn Snack, Available at supermarkets and convenience stores. This page features a dark and enigmatic advertisement with the tagline, "The Day America Dies." It promotes hybrid animation, have fun, and mentions 25 soon, which suggests a countdown or a release date of some kind. The imagery includes American flags waving against a bleak, almost post-apocalyptic backdrop, with a silhouette of a Ferris wheel. Lower down are screenshots from the game, along with text from characters. Also, the page advertises the U-More network membership. There are access phone numbers for different regions. This page is an advert promoting training programs to improve various skills. It features programs for baseball, martial arts, karate, tennis, soccer, boxing, memorization, basketball, kung fu, computer skills, skateboarding and snowboarding, gymnastics, conversation skills, table tennis, and sports performance. Each program promises to dramatically improve skills in just 15 minutes a day. The next page is an advertisement for correspondence courses promising self-improvement. Programs include weight loss. The Mont Saint-Michel weight loss method promises easy weight loss with a revolutionary diet. Vision recovery training claims to improve eyesight from 0.1 to over 1.0 in 4 weeks, with a 15-minute daily program developed in America. Gamer training offers 22 courses to enhance gaming skills and defeat rivals. Game designer, a course to help create hit computer games, regardless of current computer skills. Other courses advertised are talent development, singing, voice acting, and acting. The ad includes a call to action with a phone number and address for the Japan Correspondence Education Association. This page is about Wave Race 64 high-performance techniques. It focuses on understanding the machine's performance to achieve perfect victories. The page discusses how machine performance varies greatly in Wave Race 64, with each machine having its own unique racing style. It identifies courses where certain machines excel and others where they struggle, noting that the compatibility between a machine and a course is crucial. The page provides a table indicating the compatibility of different characters with various courses, including Cool Wave, Castle City, Southern City, Island, Port Pirate, Marine Fortress, Milky Lake, Sunset Lake, Sandy Beach. The character David Mariner and his machine, referred to as DB, excels in courses with few difficult turns due to his high top speed. Other characters, such as Ayumi Stewart, have acceleration advantages that can compensate for their slower top speeds. It emphasizes the importance of adjusting machine settings to maximize speed and grip for characters like Hayami Ryota, advising readers to take aggressive lines and accelerate out of corners. For Miles Jetters, known for his quick cornering, the advice is to take inside lines and prioritize stability by adjusting handling settings and utilizing the 4 trigger. The page also gives tips on optimizing each character's strengths, such as maximizing top speed and grip for Ryota, and improving cornering for Jeter. It advises continuing to attack corners and utilizing acceleration, and gives an important note about using the A trigger. The next page details best time secrets, offering techniques to shave off a second in Wave Race 64. It presents tips for various courses, including Sandy Beach, Sunset Bay, Marine Fortress, Port Pirate, Southern Island, Cool Wave, and Castle City. Each course features screenshots and advice on how to optimize performance, such as taking specific routes, mastering jumps, and navigating corners efficiently. It emphasizes the importance of practice and understanding course layouts to achieve faster times. This page provides Wave Race 64 tips for the Southern Island course, aiming to help players improve their time attack scores. It covers machine settings, recommending a focus on speed and grip. Specific techniques are outlined with screenshots: navigating under root buoys, staying close to a shipwreck, maintaining speed over bridge sections, and taking optimal lines through waves on the final corner. The page emphasizes wave management to avoid course deviations and protect the racing line. It also includes a map of the course showing key locations such as the start/finish, jump platforms, and route buoys. The bottom of the page shows a reference time of 117,930 by Nintendo staff. This page contains Wave Race 64 tips and tricks for high-score attacks, focusing on the Marine Fortress course, detailing techniques for maximizing points. It suggests optimizing machine settings for acrobatics, favoring light handling and grip. The page highlights wave utilization for big tricks, especially twists and loops, and emphasizes the importance of mastering double loops, even with limited jump opportunities. Specific tips include performing tricks near checkpoints, maximizing points with last-second maneuvers, and using waves for extra height. A map indicates key points on the course, such as the start/finish, ring locations, checkpoints, and jump platforms. There's a call for players to submit their high scores and gameplay videos for a chance to win prizes. The next page is about achieving high scores in Wave Race 64. It introduces a special technique called chugi, which roughly translates to super secret technique. The page explains how to earn massive points by performing acrobatics during jumps, specifically doing a robot, and then posing upon landing. To maximize points, players should maintain poses as long as possible while performing stunts like summer salutes or handstands. The page also offers some general tips, such as doing acrobatics after passing checkpoints, repeating steps 4 and 2, making time limit jumps, and finishing as close to the timer as possible. Additionally, the page features a character called Technique Boy, who is said to have discovered this forbidden technique for scoring points. This page features a guide for Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. The guide offers tips for clearing the game with only 31 power stars. It details how to navigate specific areas of the castle, including how to ascend stairs quickly by using a running long jump and then performing a quick series of button presses. It mentions you need at least 50 power stars to proceed at one point. The guide also shows an image of the last battle with Bowser and the text, "We've come this far." The text explains, you need at least 70 power stars to fight Bowser. The page then transitions to a guide for Dai Kaiju Monogatari 2, a Japanese Super Famicom RPG. The guide discusses using a character named Jammer and explains how to avoid enemy encounters. By using Jammer's abilities, players can temporarily prevent enemies from appearing. The guide also highlights the use of shell houses, which can restore HP and MP. When using Jammer, if the effect wears off, enemies will return. If you use the shell house at a save point, you can use it again. The next page features reader comments about various games, including Wizardry V, Mahujin Guru Guru 2, Doraemon 4, Nobita Tatsuki no Ukoku, and Rudra no Hihao. The page then offers tips for Daisen Ryaku Expert WW2 on the Super Famicom, detailing how to view battle animations. By pressing specific button combinations at the title screen, players can watch different battle scenes between units. Next, there's a tip for Pilotwings 64 on the Nintendo 64, focusing on a specific technique. When the speed display reads 100 km per hour, you can stop the aircraft. The trick involves choosing the B license class, starting a game, and heading to an area with many buildings. By using the 3D stick and B button, you can land on a building and achieve the 100 km per hour speed display. Finally, the page offers information on Star Ocean for the Super Famicom, explaining how to change the range of special moves. By adjusting the skills in the character menu, players can customize the range of their attacks. By adjusting the skills, long-range moves will be short-range and vice versa. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page is a Warp Zone special for Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. It shows the location of warps in different courses, like Bow-Bomb Battlefield, Lethal Lava Land, Cool Cool Mountain, Shifting Sand Land, Snowman's Land, Wet Dry World, Rainbow Ride, and Tiny Huge Island. Also includes comments from readers who offer their thoughts on the game, such as how the music is soothing and how Mario moves realistically. The next page features Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64, detailing a glitch or technique to make the Koopa Troopa disappear in the Koopa the Quick Races. The guide explains how to trigger the glitch by using the wing cap and performing specific jumps and landings. It also describes a cannon trick involving manipulating Mario within the cannon to launch him repeatedly, even with 0 health. Furthermore, it shows how to enter the cannon by using the upside-down trick. This page features a message board section with tips and tricks for Nintendo 64 and Super Famicom games. For Wave Race 64 on the Nintendo 64, it mentions a glitch where the rider can submerge into the ground if they fall off their vehicle on land. For Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64, the page details a technique where Mario can recover his health by treading water with only his feet showing. It also mentions a glitch where Mario drowns easily and falls through the floor, Additionally, the page details about how to pass through a bridge in and how to hang off bridges, plus how to navigate a bridge in Bomhai's Battleground. For Super Famicom's Umi no Nushitsuri, fishing, it talks about how to receive sympathy from the boat driver if you don't have enough money. There are also tricks for making the screen go dark, and how an innkeeper can wake you up in the morning. The next page is a collection of reader-submitted tips and tricks for Super Famicom games. First, for Bokuju Monogatari, Harvest Moon, there are 2 tips. One explains how to duplicate the Harvest Bell item, and another how to make an old man appear twice. Next, for Star Ocean, there's a technique for avoiding warp points in the Palza Temple. Finally, another Harvest Moon trick involves making the dog disappear and reappear. The page also has a call for submissions for more ultra techniques, offering prizes like Famimaga 64 merchandise and book vouchers for the best tips. There's a reminder about the fax number for submissions and some examples of easy-to-repeat techniques that can be submitted, such as collecting a certain number of coins in Super Mario 64 or repeatedly donating to a woman in Arabian Nights. This page is a reader submission section called Maniac Theme Gallery, featuring fan art and comments on various games, mostly from about 10 years prior to the publication. One person remembers Dragon Quest II, another draws fanart of Seiken Densetsu 2i, Tales of Fantasia, Walkure, and Farland Story 2. Readers share their thoughts, with one finding the Charlotte character adorable and another reminiscing about the forest wedding scene. Saga 3 is a favorite for one reader, and someone else recalls the characters from Star Ocean and a funny voice in Mario 64. A reader likes the look of Joshua and Marvel from an unmentioned game. There are also comments about children sleeping being cute and the game being well liked. The editors note they may need to change the overall theme and ask for feedback. The next page continues the reader submission section, Maniac Theme Gallery, featuring fan art and comments related to various games. One reader expresses excitement about attending a gaming event in Sapporo and praises the experience. Another feels conflicted about whether game developers are more interested in profit than creating enjoyable experiences for players. Fan art includes a drawing of a character from Fire Emblem, Chun-Li from Street Fighter, and Angela from Seiken Densetsu 3. A reader expresses concern about a game that is so difficult it might cause death. There are also comments on Rudra no Haihao, and one about the TV broadcast ending, and someone drawing a character from the game, and asking if there will be more TV episodes. This page features reader submissions in the Heart's Choice section, where gamers share their favorite games and experiences. One reader expresses their love for Star Ocean, noting that it led them to focus on fully exploring one game at a time, whereas before they would clear games just to say they have cleared them and move on, listing Dragon Quest II and Versus as ones they had spent time on. Another reader fondly recalls playing Otogiriso, and how that game's multiple endings helped them to learn to love the genre. They also mention Kamaitachi no Yoru. A reader also expresses excitement about Seiken Densetsu 3, Trials of Mana, and another enjoys the sound novel style of Otogiriso. They also discuss Tokimeki Memorial, noting its popularity among female players. The 4-panel Maniacs section features humorous comic strips related to various games, including Shin Megami Tensei and Star Ocean. The page also includes fan art of characters such as Duran from Trials of Mana. The page also contains a submission address for fan mail and artwork. This page is an advert introducing 2 new games, both titled Nichibutsu Collection, and are designed for the Super Famicom. Nichibutsu Collection 1 features games like Gyanbana and Strategy Casino Bar, and includes modes like Shugoroku Mode, Free Battle Mode, and Tournament Mode. Players can enjoy a variety of gambling games, such as roulette and daifugo, with a total of 7 types of gambling available. Nichibutsu Collection 2 includes games like Gomoku, Shogi, and Mahjong, and features modes such as Free Battle and Shogi Sumo. In Mahjong Hanjoki, players can enjoy graded battles. The advert emphasizes the fun character reactions, and announces that the game will notify you comically when things are about to go well. Both games are developed by Nihon Busan, scheduled for release in December for 7,980 yen and 12 meters in size. The index mentions other games and their page numbers, including Camelot's Twist, Kyabari Battle 3000, Pro Mahjong Gokama 64, Mori Tien Janki 64, Jisen Pachi Slot Hishaohao. There is also Sugoroku Ginga Senki, A selection of Game Boy games like Chalvo 55, 13 color-compatible Namco Gallery Volume 2, 13 color-compatible Midori no Makibao, and 13 color-compatible Momotaro Collection 2. The next page covers 2 Game Boy titles, Momotaro Collection 2 and Midori no Makibao. Momotaro Collection 2 is a variety game offering both RPG and action elements. It features scenarios where side characters from the Momotaro Legend series take the lead, including Princess Yasha, Urashima, and the God of Poverty. The game allows players to transform by collecting Kibidango, offers orthodox command-style battles with items and spells, and features large peach power-ups. Midori no Makibao is an action game based on the manga and anime, where players train and race Makibao. The game requires balancing speed, stamina, dirt, and guts, and utilizes stallion cards to unleash special abilities during races. The page showcases the game's training features at MT Hakodate and the importance of strategizing before races. The next page features 3 games: Bottom Up, Galaxy Wars, Chalvo 55, and Twin Albatross. Bottom Up. Galaxy Wars for Super Famicom is a board game where players roll dice and compete for planets. Strategic combat and resource management are key to victory. Chalvo 55 for Game Boy is an action game where the protagonist transforms into a ball to navigate puzzle-filled levels and defeat enemies. Twin Albatross for Super Famicom is a pachinko simulator featuring 2 popular machines. It includes training modes and data analysis tools. This page highlights the upcoming Nintendo 64 shogi game, tentatively titled Morita Shogi 64, developed by the programmer of the SFC version, Morita. It will have online capabilities for player-to-player matches and also have lessons taught by pro shogi players, as well as online databases and ranking systems. The page also shows Battle 3000, which is an upcoming racing game by Japan System Supply, described as an action game where players race on futuristic courses, and Pro Mahjong Kiwame 64 by Athena, a mahjong game that has online functionality and features pro players. The next page is a feature on upcoming games, highlighting Chameleon Twist for the Nintendo 64, described as an action game from Japan System Supply. The page previews action scenes and mentions that players can use the character's tongue in various ways, such as crossing gaps. A stage boss is shown wielding a large hammer, attacking the player. It also features Namco Gallery Volume 2 for the Game Boy, a variety game scheduled for release on November 29th, priced at 3,980 yen, with a 4 MB size. Additionally, there's information on updated player data for Famista 4 for the Game Boy, with updated rosters, including players like Hideki Matsui. There is also a list of baseball player names for the baseball game Famista 4 and baseball game screenshots showing gameplay. Finally, the page lists upcoming releases, including Tetrasphere and Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, which was delayed. There is also a summary of another upcoming release, is I Go, a Go game by Seta. This page presents a new release information calendar covering Super Famicom, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy games. For the Super Famicom, several games are listed with release dates and prices. Highlights include Marvel Superheroes, Super Donkey Kong 3, and Dragon Quest II. Some titles have provisional names or release dates marked as undecided. The Nintendo 64 section includes Wonder Project J2, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, and Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, among others, with most priced at 9,800 yen. Some titles have release dates ranging from November 1996 to May 1997. Again, several games are listed with undecided release dates. The Game Boy segment features games like Picross 2, Yoshi's Panapon, and Puzzle Ninja Boy Taromaru. Prices are around 3,000 to 3,900 yen. This page previews upcoming Nintendo 64 games from the November Nintendo Space World 96 event, including the highly anticipated Mario Kart 64 and about 40 other titles. There is also information on Super Famicom games like Dragon Quest II, Super Donkey Kong 3, and Street Fighter 02. A release schedule lists several games. On November 22nd, there's Genjin Collection, and on the 29th, Namco Gallery Volume 2. December 6th sees Momotaro Collection 2, and on the 20th, Super Black Bass Pocket. Virtual Boy titles include Doraemon, Starseed, and Proteus Zone. And finally, the Game Boy Pocket, Silver, is priced at 7,800 yen. The page also explains how to interpret the calendar, such as the color coding for release date changes. Finally, there is an advert for a Fanta promotion, where you can win a Nintendo 64. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Tower Dream, a new board game by ASC2 Soft. The advertisement features the game's box art and some of its characters. Key features highlighted include unique character designs by Sakuraga Yoshimaru, the pinch card, and chance systems that add suspense, and the ability to win titles in Dani Nintaisen, a form of ranked battle. This page is a full-page advertisement for the Super Famicom game Tower Dream, a unique money management board game where players aim to become the king of the world by building towers. The ad highlights a special campaign with prizes for 1,100 winners, including character illustration card sets and Sakuraga Yoshimaru stamp sets. The game was released on October 25th for 8,000 yen. The game boasts 16 megabytes of room and 64K of backup RAM, and is compatible with Turbo File Twin. Staff credits include game design by Hiroshi Miyoka, Kazunori Oryo, and Kenji Yanagisawa, character design by Yoshimaru Sakuraga, and sound by Nobu Saito. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the Super Famicom game Marvelous, Another Treasure Island. It's promoted as an action-adventure game for those who have grown from children. The ad highlights the search system feature and the game's release date as October 26th, priced at 6,800 yen. It also boasts an ASA 1 chip and battery backup,